Hey, Carolina fans, welcome back to Alumni Game. Me and Sam here this week. Couple of alumni. Buster's off this week. He is headed to Arkansas for some work. So he's heading to Razorback country. We'll have him back. Good thing it's a bye week coming up. We'll head into that next week with him, and I'm sure he's got opinions on this. But get into this Kentucky breakdown here. We gotta win. We talked about it as get right, as pretty much a have to have, and we had it. So that it's great. Started a little slow, but really a very complete game. Got a few things to talk about here: defense, offense, special teams. But really great to just get this team back on track. Get an SEC win at home, a game that we all thought we should win, and kind of see what we have wanted to see out of this team, right? And some initial reactions from you, Sam. Anything else you saw right away that kind of moved you?
This is the team we thought was going to be, right? We thought who was the coach, Denny Green, right? This is the Bears who we thought we were, who they
Yeah,
thought they were,
we
right?
are we are who we thought we were.
They were, yeah. I think this is the team we thought they were gonna be. Defensive pressure, special teams was whatever, but I think like it was also scoring on the defense. Not just, I mean, the stats weren't gonna pop you away in terms of running the ball, but ran the ball, especially with the lead. And boy, did that Kentucky quarterback look absolutely scared.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, running the ball, yes. Lenore Sellers still your leading rusher here, 14 carries for 81 yards, a lot more designed stuff. He also had the longest run at 20 yards. I mean, that's going to happen. I'm not going to begrudge that, every week, but I'd like to see a run, a running back doing that as opposed to him and him complimenting it. But okay, fine. We got a third back in the mix now, which I think you and I are both
Ooh.
really excited about. I mean, we knew Attaway and Faison, and they both combined for 15 touches, pretty split there. Neither one really rocked anything. But then Matt Fuller, rookie running back. I guess we had him as a redshirt freshman last year. I guess he's still a redshirt freshman. Out of Jessup, Georgia, 5'11", 220 pounds, so a little bit of a bowling ball. But he really got going, and they really let him go. 19 carries for 48 yards, so he only averaged 2.5, but he did have a touchdown. And they seem to really want him in the mix and more of a power back than the other two. So maybe we have a little bit of a three-headed monster now. Really a four-headed monster with Lenoris,
With
but
Lenoris, right? I think we talked a little bit pre-episode about this in the pre-production, I guess you can call it.
yeah.
Attaway and Faison kind of run very similarly almost, right? Like Faison's a smaller guy, but he runs kind of a little patiently running east-west. We need that north-south guy. We know Lenoris is going to run north-south and then east-west, whichever direction you need him to run. So it's nice to see Fuller kind of like, all right, 3rd and 1, right? Get a yard. Get a yard for the first down.
Yeah,
3rd and goal from the 2, 3rd and goal from the 1. That's all you need. I don't care about the 19 carry, like the two whatever 2.3 yards per carry. If you're moving the chains, that's what we've been missing is on this offensive line. So maybe you kind of saw a little bit of the offensive line gelling a little bit. They said, okay, we got this guy who's gonna move the chains for us, so that we can continue rushing, we continue pushing the defensive line back as opposed to pass blocking. I think he was exactly what we needed. What do you think?
yeah. No, I mean, I feel like I wanted them to start getting outside the box a little bit, do some things differently, and I think they really did. I think we talked about the running game needing a shot in the arm. Matt Fuller's a shot in the arm. There it is. Get some new blood in there, someone who's hungry, who's new to the system, who coach likes, not from the transfer portal, right? I mean, we recruited him
Yep.
out of Georgia.
Yep.
Attaway is getting near the end, right? I mean, he's a senior, so he's not necessarily the future after this year. Faison is also a transfer and is also a senior, so you're gonna need someone after this year. And truth is, you needed someone kind of right now. Neither one of these guys really wants to do a lot more than is just there for them, right? Obviously, Attaway kind of averaged a little bit more, and Faison really got the goal line with the two touchdowns. But the bulk of the work here is with Fuller, and I love that because it's an SEC opponent. We needed the win. Coach trusted him, and he protected the football. You know,
Yeah.
he got his own touchdown as well. So as a freshman, I mean, I would guess that's his first. I think that's his first. Um,
Yeah, that's his first career touchdown. And also saw Lenore's get a little more comfortable in the running game as well too.
yes.
So, that's something we had talked about, like, okay, like, you know, I think more so in the Missouri game, we're all right, he's gonna be held back a little bit coming off the injury to Vanderbilt, in which didn't play the second half. But it was nice to see him in the Kentucky game, not only just look healthy, but using his legs and play calling using his legs, right? Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't just like the play breaks down, let me run. It was like, okay, I'm actually going to tuck it and I'm going to be like a runner this play. That's the little Norris that we knew was going to be like the two-headed monster.
Yeah, yeah. I would say what surprised me in this game is we actually outrushed. We had more rushing yards than we did receiving yards. I wouldn't have thought that. We actually didn't pass the ball a ton. I mean, he basically completed one pass to every single receiver except for Vandrevius, who had five. We need to do better than that. Nick Harbor needs to catch a couple of balls. Like Brian Rowe needs to catch a couple of balls. That's the only thing that got me here was Vandrevius was like the only wide receiver who was really working all day. And when you really break this down further, Attaway and Faison both had catches too, and Fuller did not. So like that really sets the designation for me. Fuller can be the early down guy. Attaway and Faison can be third down backs or goal line backs, and you can sort of start to see them operate like that. I mean, we'll see in 2 weeks, who really is the starter and who gets the bulk of the carries. But my inkling is going to be that it's Fuller. That Fuller gets more here, and we start using Faison and Attaway more at like wide receivers and in specialty and hurry up situations where
Yeah.
Fuller, and then the only scenarios I don't necessarily need Fuller in there is when it's Lenoris doing certain things and you need to have someone like Attaway blocking in there because he knows the scheme a little bit better. Okay, I'll get that too. But
Fuller's going
I,
to be like
I
the
do need
short
to just
yardage guy.
challenge. We challenged the running game last week. I do think we need to challenge these wide receivers a little bit more. I think these wide receivers need to start to stepping up and growing. Vandrevius wants to do it all. That's great, but other guys got to get into this.
You got to imagine that like teams like Kentucky, the SEC teams are like Nick Harbaugh. Nick Harbaugh is on everyone's radar, right? So like they're gonna have a game plan for a
Yeah.
track star that like gained 25 pounds of muscle in the offseason and is just like a huge dude. There's probably gonna be like one or two guys on him. So you do want to see Nick Harbaugh, but if he's gonna be like a distraction, that's fine too. Obviously you want to see him get like the 70-yard bomb for a touchdown.
Yeah.
I do see Fuller being so just to like, and let me finish actually first my thought there
Yeah.
on
Yes. Please
wide
do. Yeah.
receivers. We were up by a lot, like two back-to-back plays. It was the Gear had returned the fumble, the strip sack for a fumble, like 50 or 40 yards or whatever for a touchdown.
Yeah.
And
Shout
then the
out to
very next
Gabe.
play, Jalen Kilgore comes back and scores a touchdown, a pick six, right? I don't know if it was the next play. Maybe there might have been maybe like a short run or something like after that. But there was basically, there was only, I don't know if you mentioned this, only 91 yards in the final nine drives for Kentucky.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, it was 10-7, then all of a sudden it's 21, 21-10, and you're like, okay. And who was it? Bowler for Kentucky just looked like, oh man, I don't want any part of this game. They took out the running back that surprisingly, I don't know if you knew this, but apparently he was facing 70 years in jail. I don't know if you heard
Holy shit!
did you hear about the running back for Kentucky?
No.
Okay, so this guy was apparently at Oklahoma for a minute, and I don't know what happened. I think there was some sort of larceny charge against him, or burglary or robbery charge against them. Got kicked off the team the next day, but he's facing like 70 years in prison. That's what the announcers said from the game on the SEC network on
That's their
Saturday.
main running back,
McGowan,
McGowan.
yeah, yeah, that's McGowan. That's McGowan
Ah,
who was averaging, who had a phenomenal game for stats purposes. But I mean, they were out of it by like the third quarter. Definitely by halftime they were out of it. So
yeah.
I like how they kind of like gingerly toed on that. I was like, wait a minute, that seems like something relevant. Um, he also we'll go into this later on, but he did something else at the end of after his first touchdown that I think a lot of South Carolina fans didn't like. But just going back to that, like the defense put them in a position, and then before you knew it, they're getting a another interception that sets up a touchdown. Like it was not even close. By halftime, it was done. I can understand why the wide receivers didn't get their numbers right, and Nick Harbor, at least in this game. I think it's good to see Vandrevius kind of step up a little bit and become like the number two guy because we didn't know who the number two guy was. We've seen Bryan
Right,
Rowe flashes
right.
of him. Donovan
Yeah, that got a
Murph.
little mixed up in this game. Like even Brady Hunt is the only tight end to get a catch, and Dingle wasn't in there. That was a little funny too.
Yeah,
Um,
but
and
it's
then
not the
to see
worst thing.
some
I
other
don't think
guys
it's the
in
worst
there.
thing.
Mazio got his catch, but Maurice Brown also got a catch. So like a couple of guys trying to work their way in
He had a
there a
big
little bit.
hit on the kick return too. I don't know if you saw that in a
Yep.
special teams play. Like I love seeing Mo Brown doing that. I'm encouraged by what I've seen from Jacob so far. Even Rowe, Donovan Murph had a bad drop. I think he's had a couple drops now, but
Yeah, he didn't even
I'm
have a
with you.
catch.
Like
Yeah.
I'm with you though. Like when it comes down to a
Yeah,
game, like
just
let's
get a
say
little
against
heat on him a
LSU,
little bit, ride him a little bit in practice, kind of highlight that. Like you only made one catch. Would you really do all day? Like I hear you. I mean this especially late didn't it was almost garbage time by then. And it's funny you mentioned that the score going up. Buddy of mine was asking me and like he had bet the under and it was early and I was like, yes, definitely the under. And then when that all started happening, I was like, oh shit, there that goes.
here it goes.
And very quickly went to like, okay, no one's really playing, too much defense. But then our defense really kicked it in. And then just to hit these highlights here. So we talked about it in the pre, but Brian Thomas Jr. earning SEC co-defensive lineman of the week, putting up 2 sacks and 7 tackles. Claps to him. That's awesome. We would love to have any SEC, anything defensive, offensive is great.
Second time this
But
year, a player.
he really earned it in this game. He got us going. And the Gamecocks as a unit ended up recording 6 sacks total. Yes, this quarterback was harassed all day, and he was nervous and anxious for good reason. But then just keep going. The turnovers, Brandon Sissy picking off a pass for that touchdown drive. You mentioned Kilgore with his pick six. So just loving what's happening on that side of the ball
Yeah,
in
they're
general. We're
starting to gel.
intimidating. We are intimidating people. We're harassing people. We're getting there. We're sacking. We're knocking the ball loose. We're picking it up and running with it. That is really where some of our best football is being played. And now you get those turnovers and you get them to the offense and they're turning it into points. Shocker.
Yep.
That's amazing. And then just some of those stats. I mean, you basically, like you said, 90 yards in those last 9 drives. I mean, that's 10 yards a drive. No one's going to do anything with that. So, like, this defense is really starting to step up in terms of where they are and what they're able to do. And they're going to need that with who they're going to face in coming weeks, right? So, this was a get right in a couple ways, but I think defense really started putting their foot down, and that was pretty awesome.
They did.
And offense.
You're starting to see them gel into the identity of Beamer Bowl, right? Like, hey, like, we gave up a first scripted drive. Okay, like you gave up a touchdown, that's fine. But guess what? We're gonna not only force some turnovers, we're gonna score on those turnovers, or we're gonna put the offense in a position to score on those turnovers, or the special teams is gonna score. It's kind of really cool to see over the course of 5 games, the defense really find itself. I mean, there were some really, really bad times against Vanderbilt specifically, and then
Yeah.
to a lesser extent Missouri, but we kind of figured that. But it's nice to see the team kind of gelling towards that Beamer Ball identity while
Yeah.
the meat of the SEC schedule comes up.
Yeah, and then to hit on coach and what coach really wanted, I mean his big thing, we got to hit these keys again, right? We got to make it rain with the keys. His big thing was win the turnover battle. Did that. His other big thing, win in the fourth quarter. Did that. We held them to 232 yards. I mean, what are they really going to be able to put up point wise if they only have 232 yards?
Yeah,
We had no
13
turnovers
points.
at all. When we did get turnovers, we turned it into points. We made havoc for the quarterback. We made them abandon the run game. I mean, all of this is everything that you want to do, right? I think if coach has his druthers, we do get a couple more wide receivers going and we're able to get some other people some work, but fine, not a big deal. One thing I missed, Sam, in looking at this that I don't remember, I'm looking at Mason Love was 1 for 1. When did we do that? I don't remember that
There,
when we
there was a fake,
there.
there was a fake punt in, I forget what quarter was it, the second quarter maybe, and they initially called it a first down, but then they reviewed it and saw that he was short. I wasn't terribly concerned though because I think I actually was that one of their field goal drives? Was that the first quarter, second
Yeah,
quarter
I
of
think it
them
must
field
have
goal
been.
drive?
And
Because
the
if
only reason was because looking at it, it said 10, and I'm like, oh, then it would have been a first down, but I didn't think it was.
yeah, he was just
But good
short. He
on
was he
Mason
was
Love
like
for
an inch he
completing
was
it.
like an inch or two short.
That's all right. That's fine. But you love to see that because you know that's part of Beamer's identity. And we haven't gotten to a lot of that just because we haven't been executing our general game plan to be able to go above and beyond. But we did, and so I'm excited about that. And then to get those co-defensive honors is pretty awesome. It's really showing what the defense is doing.
Yeah.
You know, defense
Dylan
goes a little
Stewart had a sack
lighter.
and a half too. Like he's
Yeah,
put in a good game.
yeah, and then just all around efficiency wise, we were better than 50% on third down. We kept them under 50% on third down, so that was great on both sides of the ball. Fourth down, we were pretty good at 50%. They were 0-2, so we kept them out there. Um, what else did I want to? Yards per pass was kind of up at almost 11. So, depth of target is a little bit longer. Lenoir isn't just looking at throwing over the middle. He's starting to go a little deeper. Granted, it's mostly Van Drevius right now, but we think that should pop for a couple other guys.
He
And
was a
then just
little he was a little high to start the game. The receivers made some good catches, but I remember him being like his throws were a little high, which kind of showed that maybe he was coming back from the injury, maybe kind of like I don't know, hyped up a little bit for the win,
yeah,
but
the
it,
arm
it,
was
it
like
got
cocked
better.
back a little bit.
He was
Yeah,
a little,
yeah, yeah.
he was hyped up a little bit, but he got better throughout the game. Very efficient. I loved his decision making on running the ball, and I think overall it was a good positives for the Norse.
Yeah. And what's kind of crazy too, I mean, a lot of this aligned with what we talked about in our show last week leading up to this game. We talked about over 100 yards rushing. We hit that. The team ran for 178. We hit those 6 total sacks. Incredible. I mean, you do that in any game, you're going to have a good chance to win.
I made that up at the
Um,
last minute too. I can't believe they actually hit the 6 sacks.
Yeah. And while
I,
we didn't get the special teams touchdown I was looking for, we did get a defensive score. And we did have that little bit of trickeration with Mason Love. So we're getting there. I mean, I feel like I could say that every week. And one of these weeks I'm going to hit. You're not going to hit it every week, and you didn't even need it this week. But the defensive score is pretty awesome. We got the stadium rocking, right?
who?
So that's yes, exactly. So that's a lot of the good. What's with the bad, and what do we need to fix? Little inconsistent in the running game, right? We talked about that, where it kind of wasn't working for us, or you don't want to have to script that much with Lenoris running. But it does feel like it's improving, and now you got the bye week to work on it more. Maybe get Fuller some more touches and his pass pro. So I'm feeling good with that. While it was a little inconsistent, it was an improvement. It was enough improved for me, you know.
We've
Um,
seen we've seen now for the most part in every single game this year, we've started out very nice on our opening drives. And then we kind of sputter for a minute and then they kind of figure it out. There needs to be a situation where we continue the fast starts, right? Scoring like if you can score 10 in the first quarter, I think that puts our defense in a really good position that specifically that pass rush as we saw against Kentucky. Didn't have the opportunity against Missouri because Missouri kept running the ball. But if you can kind of get up by a score or two, in the first quarter, second quarter, and turn those teams into passing only teams, right? And that's where Vanderbilt took over in this in 2 weeks
yeah,
ago.
yeah,
You can kind of
yeah,
keep
and
them
that's the
into
biggest
that.
difference there, right?
That
Is
that would be
Pavia
helpful.
is so ready to go compared to this kid.
Absolutely. I mean, Diego's a stud, right?
Yeah,
He'll probably get drafted, I would think. I don't know what round, but you'd love to see a little bit more consistency in the run game, especially on the second drives, on the third drive, so we're not necessarily punting early on in the game and then having to like defend on to
yeah,
rely on the Norris, right?
yeah. And the only crazy part with it is we didn't know it would take a new body. Like we thought it was Attaway Faison and getting them going, and it really took getting Fuller into the mix to get us out of that rut. And I like that. I think that shows what Beamer's willing to do, and that he's always got a plan to do something else if he has to. We loved that Faison was eligible and he could get in there, but it hasn't really been working. So you got to make a change, and you
Yeah.
did, and that worked. So I'm really excited to see where that goes. Let us know in the
Short yardage.
comments if
He's
you
a
want to
short
hear
yardage
more.
dog, man. I'd love
Yeah,
to see
let
the
us
short
know in the
yardage.
comments if you want to hear more about this kid. Maybe we can do a Gamecock of the Week on Fuller and get some more info on him. We'll probably need Buster back for that, because we have to
Definitely
go into
Buster back.
some recruiting tape for that. But yeah, I'm excited by that. I'm excited that Coach kind of went outside of the box to stir the pot there, and I think it paid dividends. So, in terms of what else needs to be fixed, We talked about kind of the offensive line and some of the protection. Sellers is still getting hit a little bit. We kind of can't have that, especially with his concussion a few weeks ago. So that is something that they got to pick up a little bit. It does seem like the offensive line has been a little bit of a carousel, right? Like some injuries, some guys not playing up to ability. So maybe that's another area with the bye week they could kind of improve things and get
Get
a little
healthy,
more
definitely.
steady. Yeah, yeah. Um, you mentioned some of the early game, that the pacing and the response, we kind of already hit that. But yeah, that there's a better way to start. Starting from behind is not really where you want to be. Without the defense kind of making some splash plays here, we are playing from behind for a little while. That's not going to happen every week, so you got to kind of fix that. Um, and then into the red zone. What we had some notes there about red zone. What were you thinking about that in terms of efficiency?
Yeah, like just kind of finish cleanly. I know we're probably going to bring this up in some of our keys to what they, what needs to happen against LSU and the meat of this SEC schedule. But finish cleanly. We can't like negative yards aren't great. I think this is why Fuller came in. We're excited to see Fuller. I've said it a million times.
Yeah.
He can get at least 1 or 2 yards. He's not a negative yard guy. And so I think one of the downsides about Faison or Attaway is that they could break off a 25-yard run, but more often than not, they've been breaking off -2 yards run,
Yeah.
-3 yard runs.
Yeah, and sometimes with Sellers too, he takes those big
Yeah,
sacks.
they're very much East-West guy. That North-South guy that Fuller is good to come in. Not you don't really want to settle for trying to kick a field goal. I'm still kind of iffy on this field goal team, this field goal unit. I don't know
Yeah. I think
what's going
I
on.
think that's what I was thinking of when they asked you about red zone, because I was like, what do you mean here? Like, because it almost feels like we need to score touchdowns or we're not going to get points.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
that's the key, and especially in the first half, that being the case. So the kicking unit hasn't. Yeah, I don't even remember them trying to kick more than against. Let's see. Obviously, kicked a field goal here in this game, but no, they didn't. They didn't kick a field goal
I
against Kentucky, did they?
don't think
5 touchdowns,
so.
right?
Yeah, I'm trying to look at like team stats and
Missouri
see.
was okay, but those were also field goals that were within 30, 35 yards. We can't get into a position where we're trying to kick a field goal of 40 yards, even though kicking's been like great right now for field goal
Yeah.
kickers. So don't really want to see a whole lot of settling like we did against Missouri. Gotta score touchdowns.
Yeah, we only punted 3 times, which is great. But yes, William Joyce, number 45, did not kick any field goals. He was 5 for 5 on extra points, so that's great. So he got some practice there.
Absolutely.
And then punt return wise, we didn't have a lot. Vicari Swain had 1 return for -5 yards. He
You get
also
the
had
sense he kind of wants it too much, don't you? Like right
a
now,
little. Yeah, it's a little
he's
too
right.
much
We were
now.
watching the game. I think we were texting about that. We're like, he really wants to return one too much, which
Yeah.
isn't a bad. I mean, if you're trying too hard, it's a bad
Well,
thing.
that's
But it's got to
exactly what
come
that
natural.
-5 shows me. Yeah, you were trying a
Yeah.
little too hard. You wanted it too much. You ran backwards a little too far. But I think that'll level off. I mean, I don't think it's something you script. I think it just kind of plays itself out, and he's got a good eye for the field, and he's got to just get out of his own head to get more. Um, and we didn't need it, so I'm fine with it. Are we going to need it versus an LSU or an Alabama? Yeah, I think so. So I'm fine with him saving that genie in a bottle until then.
Same.
And they'll fix it. They'll work on it. They'll fix it. Um, you know. What else was I going to say? I mean, he's
So
playing well on other ways. I mean, he's making tackles and stuff too. So like, I just feel like play your game, and those will come. And look, you only had 1 return, so you only had 1 shot. There'll be other games we have a lot more shots.
he's playing
The way this
pretty well.
defense
He's
is.
he's playing well on third downs too. As I think he's been playing nickelback safety or Spurs safety position a little bit on third downs. He's breaking up some passes. So the game's coming to him a little bit. It's good to see there. We're certainly going to need him to return some. You're right. Like certainly
Yeah,
going to need him to return some
yeah.
punts against
Like,
Alabama
don't
and
burn them up now.
Oklahoma.
If you only got so many of those to burn, then save those. Keep them locked up tight, and we'll use them when we need them. But I also think, as the as things go on, we're not the only ones seeing him trying too hard. Beamer sees that. He knows he wants it. Maybe they'll sort of script something, or maybe they'll sort of game something or practice something a little for him that gives him a little other edge. But yeah, don't overthink it. Don't try so hard. Please don't get negative yards. I need positive yard. I need positive yards more than I need you efforting, over efforting. Um, yeah.
No, it
But
makes
that's
perfect.
really all we need to see about that. I mean,
Yeah.
he's an X factor, and he will continue to be one, which is great. Um, where were we though? So we kind of hit on the stuff, what needs to be fixed. Now, what do we kind of need to do going forward? In terms of,
Three
what are they
keys are
working
going
on?
forward. Is that what you're saying? Should we do that?
Yeah, yeah. Let's bust out those
Let's just do the
keys. Those
keys. Let's just do the
keys.
keys right there. Three keys going forward. Number one,
Man, we got
up.
keys.
There's the keys right there. Number one, we got to protect the QB. We got to protect balance in the run game. We have already been hitting on it already. Little play action. Play action looked a lot better against Kentucky, especially after Fuller started getting in there.
Yes, sir.
Lenoris was the leading rusher against Kentucky. I don't think that's the worst thing. You certainly don't want to see that every week because if it's every week, that means that we're in very close games and or the offensive line has been struggling.
Yeah, and that he's getting banged around a little, and you wouldn't script a ton with Sellers running if you were confident in the running game, right?
Right, exactly, exactly. And I do like Faison and Attaway still. But let's complement them with Fuller. Let's get Fuller a lot more involved. What
Oh,
are
and
your
I
thoughts
think
there?
I think the other thing that Fuller does is he just resets the whole thing, and that everyone's competitive now, right? Faison and Attaway were just doing their thing, and now there's a new guy in the room, and they got to play up to him, and he pushes them, and but he's a rookie, and like so, I just love that dynamic of that room, and what the coaches can do with that
Yeah.
to motivate. Um, but I also think this comes back to something else we said about the offensive line play. I mean, how do you protect the QB? Offensive line. How do you get balance in the run game? Offensive line. So, like, where the running game did improve, that's great. But offensive line has to continue to improve. It has to try to get together as a unit, communicate with these running backs, use the tight end position a little bit more. I think that's the only other area we said, running game improved, great. Receiving game took a little bit of a step in a weird direction without Vandrevius aside. But I think I want to challenge the tight ends in the same way I'm challenging the wide receivers. You got to get more active. I want to see a little bit more creative blocking and using that tight end position, especially in the red zone if we need that efficiency. Um, and then going over to the other side of the ball, second big key for us is the pass rush
Hell
needs to
yeah.
be basically elite. It's basically there with this Kentucky game, assuming that they play like that every week, then we got nothing to worry about. Um, Great to see Brian Thomas getting his flowers. He's emerging. Obviously, Stewart is the main piece for us that's wrecking everybody. Um, but the element of Beamer ball is what we're really talking about, right? That they're playing with opportunity and um, they're fast too. So when they can get there and they can disrupt, they can get the ball and they can go the other way. That's pretty incredible. The offense doesn't even blink sometimes. The defense can score. That's going to put anyone on their heels, right? I love that about this.
Total beamable. That's what it's all like. That's all it is. Defensive line pressure, get them into obvious passing downs, right? And then have the defensive backs create a turnover, get
Yep.
them into punting. So your special teams guys like Vicari swing and do it. Listen, I think this pass rush is ready to be unleashed, right? And I think Clayton White's ready to unleash them. I don't see a whole lot of zone blitz packages coming up, as much as we saw in, I think in the first half against Missouri, there were some. Missouri started running the ball a little bit more. Obviously, Hardy's a beast, but
Yeah. Total beast.
I can see positions now where Clayton White feels more comfortable with keeping the linebackers a little bit more cover with there in the zone schemes where they're spying the quarterbacks because Stewart and Gear and Thomas are coming. There's three
Yeah.
guys now that
Yeah,
can
and they
just
got ball skills
absolutely
too. Yeah.
wreck games, and between those three, and then you also got Brownlow Dindy. You got and then you got Troy Pikes, both those guys coming out from the second unit. This is going to be a nasty defensive line. They're really starting to come together and gel. They need to be that. Like if this
Yeah.
team's going to have any shot of making the playoff or any shot of winning any game over the next 5 weeks, they're going to have to be that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, agreed. Agreed. So with that, we will maintain our own momentum, much like the team needs to.
E3
Um,
baby.
Basically, keep this, build on this, love this, roll with this into the bye, and continue to build this into the season. Almost forget everything else that came before. Focus
It's a
on
new
this.
season.
Focus on the SEC. Don't let any kind of rust set in. Like keep the momentum up, motivate people, light fires under people. The time is now. For me, Yeah, if things were a little different before this game, you might not necessarily be doing that, but you, especially after last year, I mean, throw the rankings out. You want to beat LSU more than you want to beat anybody, really. Let's be honest. I mean, we beat them last year, and it probably changes the whole complexity of our season. Yes, they're a borderline top 10 team. They're borderline cream of the crop in the SEC, with probably with Georgia and I guess Alabama. Who else is tops right now? No, Texas is still
Oklahoma's number
Oklahoma.
5. Texas is up there. Missouri, believe it or not, is 3-0. Ole Miss is
Yeah,
3-0.
Missouri's getting up there. Vandy's ranked now. I mean,
Vandy's ranked.
but I just feel like,
Mississippi's 3-0 in the conference.
yep, we
We
know
got
this
them.
team. We know what they're gonna be. What they're gonna be. We came within a field goal of last year, and we aren't that much different than we were last year. Arguably, we might even be better on the defensive side. We got to get a little more together on offense to compete with them. But I think this bye week is very well timed. I mean, I think you use this time and you'll use it well, and you can really use it against them. We'll get more into that next week. So, but I think the only other thing that we have here that I'm in total agreement with is cleaning up the penalties. It
Yeah.
wasn't terrible this week, but we did have more than the other team, and some of them were ill placed, and some of them were a little like, what the hell are you thinking? You know. Nothing as bad as we'd seen in previous weeks, anyone getting thrown out or anything like that. Much more cleaned up and improved. But we know that, yeah, 65 yards and penalties could be a difference in a game against some of these other SEC teams. So as long as they clean that up a little bit, we'll be all right. And then I think you had a bonus for us too, didn't you, Sammy?
Did
These
I?
keys. I know we
Did
had
I
three,
have a
but a little
bonus?
mini key on the end.
You're just gonna need those extra points and those turnovers against LSU and against Ole Miss and against Oklahoma and against Alabama. You're gonna need that, right? And you're gonna need those
Yeah,
that
you're almost gonna have to play perfect,
Beamer
really.
ball to be shining. Look, 4 of the top 8 teams, and what, 3 of those teams, 2 of those teams are in the SEC. 4 of the top 8 teams lost this weekend, right? So the playoff is wide open. I fully expect that, Ohio State looks great. They look terrific. So does Oregon.
Yes.
But outside of that, the SEC is wide open right now. I
Yeah, and
think
teams are beatable.
there's going to
Yeah.
be, I think we're starting to see the parity kind of coming through because, Illinois, Indiana, these teams, they're all like every team is beatable, like you just said. So clean up the penalties, play mistake-free football, and let's flip the field and get some scores with the defense and
Yeah,
special
I
teams.
like it. I like it. So basically, where we stand right now, we're coming off this Kentucky win. We're going into the bye. We got LSU next week, so nothing to preview for this week. Really kind of sit on this win for a minute. Think about what we can do to improve this team a little bit more, and kind of enjoy this one. I mean, the Brian Thomas getting those honors, that's another thing to kind of celebrate. Some of these stats going in, really a lot of stuff to build on. What's this quote you have here, Sam? Let's be real, this team is far from perfect, but the momentum shift matters. Heading into a bye, it's about staying sharp, healing, taking lessons, not letting complacency creep in. Yeah, totally. Completely. 100% agree with that.
That's a
Um,
completely made up quote by me, but I did put it in quotes.
It's fair. It's imbalanced. It's everything Buster would want. I'm sure he's chef's kissing somewhere
Let's
with this.
put it on social media and say it's from Bear Bryan or someone, and say
Not
this is
letting
what we'll do right
complacency
here.
creeping in, spooky season.
Listen, man,
Um,
it's a good spot to be in. If winning, if in a bye is a good spot to be in with a win, right? I know the 3-2, it's not necessarily where we want to be, but it's 0-0 right now. You got LSU next week in Death Valley, the real Death Valley. It's gonna be a tough one. It's gonna be a tough one, but I think it's very, very winnable.
nice. And so do you think this is the type of win that could carry us to maybe a streak of SEC wins?
Absolutely. I think this is the type you look at the I almost wanted to compare it to the Texas A&M game last year, but I think it's more along the lines of the uh who did we play after we lost to Alabama last year? Was it Texas A&M? It might have been Texas A&M. I think it
I
was
think
the
it was
Texas A&M
A&M,
game.
yeah.
The A&M game. So I think it's very winnable. And they won very similarly to the way that they beat Texas A&M, just a complete beatdown in one half. I like that. I like the direction the team's in. Just stay healthy. Offensive line's beat up a lot. And let's get these guys some reps. Let's get these young wide receivers some reps because now's the time Lenora Sellers is really going to have to throw for about 225, 250 yards and run
Yeah.
for 75.
Yeah, that's the only
This
reason
is
why I need
what's
to
coming
see a little
up.
more. I want to kind of challenge the wide receivers a little bit, not because they're bad or anything like that, but just because we need more.
Yeah.
If we're gonna do what we want to do against some of these other teams, we need more than that. So, but nothing to hang our heads here is at all. Like we needed it, we got it. Team needed to step up, they did. We really liked the areas they improved. There were all areas we knew they needed to improve. I think that's a success. I think this show is a success this week.
Hey man,
And I think,
we gotta enjoy that
yep,
win.
yeah, I'll cheers to that. And shout out to Buster who'll be back with us next week. But hey, tell me if I'm wrong, Sam, but I think that's another episode of Alumni
Game
Cox.
Cox.
Woo! Fuck Kentucky.